Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name's Preston, and today we are doing the Royal Bloodlines color green color review. And I think this is going to be an interesting one, not because the leaders in this set are very well supported for this color in this set, but because the cards in general are good for green, specifically for last set's green. Let's start off by talking about our leaders. We got a green-red smoker leader with the effect of during your opponent's turn, all of your characters with the trait Navy or Punk Hazard get plus 1000 power. Really cool for defense. And then activate main once per turn. If you have a character with 7000 or more power, activate up to 2 of your Dawn cards. Very good. Very excited to see how we utilize that. Being able to do that whenever you want is very cool, and 2 extra Dawn, that's pretty crazy in my opinion. Then we have Trafalgar Law. When 1 Dawn is attached, activate main once per turn. If the total cost of your characters is 5 or more, you return 1 of your characters to the owner's hand, reveal the top card of your life, and if that card is a character with Supernova trait and a cost of 5 or less, you may bring it to play. So complicated. That's such a crazy amount of things that have to be working for you to just activate your leader effect. We know that previously Red-Green Law was able to bring out a lot of characters and they were all 5 or less, and it could do some really cool stuff. But having the total cost being 5 or more, picking up 1 of your cards, flipping over a life, and it having to end up being a 5 or less supernova to then be able to play it feels like a lot. Just feels like a lot that you have to do. Might be interesting to use up some abilities, attack, pick up a rested card that you don't want KO'd, and then be able to play out a character from your life that can then make an immediate impact with either an on play or just be a overall threat for them to have to clear immediately is really cool. But being able to pull all of that off consistently to make the leader usable is really weird to me. Not quite sure if I like it. I wanted to hold the overall opinion on it until we get to yellow and see if that helps, and break down the yellow in this set to see if it is super helpful for this leader. With that being said, let's jump into our SRs to start. We have here Smoker with Banish. Love that for him. Activate main. Activate up to 1 of your Dawn cards. After that, you cannot activate Dawn cards with character effects during this turn. Pretty cool. Just the ability to have a 7k banish is really nice. I like that. And then being able to set up to 1 of your Dawn cards active, even if you can't. Like, this could be the last thing you do. Activate main, activate 1 more Dawn, restand it, and then like pass or use that active Dawn for something. You need 1 more to get another character on board or something. Whatever it is, I think that's great if it's like the last thing you do. And since it says, at least in this translation, that it cannot be activate more Dawn by character effects, I don't think that gets in your leader effect, leader abilities away. So that's interesting as well. Now to our Tashigi. If 1 of your green characters other than Tashigi leaves the field due to an opponent's effect, you can rest this character instead. That's really interesting. Leaving the field could be returning to your hand or being KO'd by an effect. And I think that's a really nice ability to force them to use cards that they like, use Dawn and use resources, and then stop it. I'm guessing they would target this card first and then do stuff for the cards that you would defend with this card. Moving on to just some of the characters here. This ISO, on play, if your leader has the Navy trait, put up to 2 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less into rest. I think that is crazy to hit 2 5 costs for the cost of 5. It doesn't KO them, it puts them in rest, but you can do stuff to rested characters, which is great. Even if you're targeting their blockers so that they lose that ability to block, is quite nice. Then we have to talk about Odyssey, because that's really where this set is focused. You have a Odyssey card that draws 3 and discards 2. That's pretty incredible. I love to draw cards. I will always be a fan of drawing cards. Mihawk restands one of your Odyssey characters. So as all Odyssey cards are, if you have 2 rested characters, do something. This one restands a 5 or less. That's pretty interesting. If you have 2 or more rested characters, put up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less into rest. Afterward, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with 3 or less. So I think there's a lot of utility out of the Odyssey cards that it didn't have in the last set, that is really putting it at an opportunity for someone to come in with the Odyssey leader limb and do something with it. 2 or more rested Odyssey, up to one of your opponent's characters. I think it's characters. One of your opponent's rest will not be active during your opponent's next refresh phase. So if that's their leader, they can't restand their leader. That's disgusting. I love that. Major ability to throw on so that they, like, if you do play this early on, your opponent plays, they attack with leader, you play this, their leader can't restand, even if it's a character, and you don't KO it right away. It's going to be rested for your next turn anyways. And I think that is so cool to be able to lock down their board and stop them from being able to do stuff. Rest up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters with a cost of 5 or less. Interesting combo there we could hit. During your turn, once per turn, when a character is put into rest by your own effects, activate one of your Dawn cards. That's really interesting because I believe we have a chance to have this on board, play a character, restand a Dawn in Odyssey decks. We have Zoro. If you have 2 or more rested characters, this character gains 2,000 power during your opponent's turn, so he's an 8k defender. I think that's great as well. They're going to want to have some decent defense because they're coming unrested, so they're very vulnerable to start. Let's move on to our events and see what we got here. First up, we have this Gum Gum Dragon Flame Gun Roll Star. Don't know what the English translation is going to be for this. If your leader has Odyssey, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 2 characters with the Odyssey characteristic, add them to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. For the cost of 3, you can search 2 cards with it during one play. I think that's pretty good. I don't know if it would be better to play 2 1-cost searchers if Odyssey has a 1-cost searcher, to go 10 cards deep instead of just top 5 and have the same effect. But as an event, I think that's pretty interesting and might see play. I don't know. It's really interesting to get 2 cards off the top of your deck off of a single play. Again, I don't know if for 3 cost, I can play 2 1-cost searchers instead. So if Odyssey has 2 top 5 searchers, or has a top 5 searcher with 1 cost, technically better, I think, to go 10 cards deep instead of just top 5. But maybe you know what's there. Maybe there's an ability that you already know what's there and you won't be such a big deal. Moving on to Weak People Can't Choose How They Die, which is funny because this KOs stuff. Main or counter K up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 7 or less. I think 5 cost is pretty steep in general to do one thing, but KOing a 7 or less is huge. So I think this is potentially really interesting. If we found maybe green black Show Leader and we could reduce the cost of stuff, and then play this, but then you have all of the black removal that's so much better than this, I think. So, 5 cost on a counter I think is way too expensive. You're almost never going to leave 5 Dawn open. And 5 cost to KO 7 or less. I mean, it's there, it's just, I don't know. Moving on to our last card here. Radio Knife, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, then KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 5 or less. 4 Dawn, rest a card, KO a different card. That's really interesting. Or rest a card that you can then KO is really interesting. I think that has more utility than a 5 cost KO a 7. But as that was just my opinion, let me know in the comments down below if I have missed anything. Let me know if I've missed anything, and let me know if you're excited to now play the Odyssey deck, because I think that's where this set really lies. Yeah, let me know what you thought. I think it's really interesting that they put Smoker Leader here and then did nothing with Navy. There's not a lot of green Navy cards as it is. The red Punk Hazard cards that it could be played with to get that first ability off aren't really there either. There's a couple that I might play in that deck. So it feels really weird that they didn't just put more of these cards in the last set. They release cards in a really weird way that really throws off the flow for some of these decks that make them potentially more exciting later, but on release, not exciting at all. But with that being said, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you want to get more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe, and until next time, peace.